The colony street was full of noise, lights, and alien voices. Shops were glowing with neon signs, traders shouted about their goods, and guards stood at every corner. Among all the movement, one figure walked slowly, an old alien woman. Her skin was pale purple, her clothes were torn, her back was bent, and her eyes were tired. She carried a small bag, but even that seemed too heavy for her weak hands. No one cared. Some aliens laughed when they saw her. Others pushed her away when she came too close. "Move aside, old one," a tall merchant said while spilling water near her feet. Children threw small stones and ran away, laughing. The colony had no space for the forgotten. She was like dust in the crowd, invisible to all. But someone noticed. A young human teen stood near the food stalls, his brown jacket dusty, his hair messy, his eyes curious. He had come to the colony with his father, who worked as a mechanic. But today he was alone, exploring the busy streets. His name was Aaron, just 16 years old. And in the endless crowd, his eyes stopped on the alien woman. Something about her felt different. She did not look like a beggar, nor a common wanderer. There was sorrow in her eyes, but also a strange glow, a deep strength hidden behind weakness. Aaron could not understand why, but he could not look away. He saw her stumble when someone pushed her. Her bag almost fell. For a second, she looked so lost, so small, like the whole galaxy had turned its back on her. And maybe it had. The crowd kept walking. No one even slowed down. Aaron felt his chest grow tight. Why was no one helping her? She looked so fragile, as if one more insult could break her completely. He thought of his own grandmother back on Earth. What if she had been alone, mocked, ignored? The thought hurt him. He stepped forward. "Wait," he called, his voice young but firm. The woman turned, her eyes wide and unsure. No human had spoken to her before, not like this. Aaron smiled gently and reached for the bag she carried. "Let me help you," he said. The woman froze, her lips trembling. Her voice was soft, like dust in the wind. You are human," she whispered. "Yes," Aaron nodded. "And you need help." Whispers rose in the crowd. Aliens stopped to watch, their faces filled with shock and anger. "Why is a human helping her?" one muttered. "Disgusting," said another. But Aaron ignored them. He lifted the bag, surprised by its weight. It was heavier than it looked, filled with something that clinked inside like stones or crystals. The old woman's eyes filled with tears. "You remind me of someone," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Someone long ago." Aaron frowned, confused. But before he could ask more, he noticed shadows moving at the edge of the street. Two armored alien enforcers had stopped, watching them closely. They spoke into small devices on their arms. "Target located," one said in a deep metallic voice. Aaron felt a chill run through him. Why were they watching an old woman? The woman lowered her head, fear in her eyes. "Come," she said quietly. "We must move." Aaron's heart pounded. He looked at her, then at the enforcers. Something told him this was not just about kindness anymore. This old woman was not what she seemed, and his choice to help her had already changed everything. As they walked away, the crowd whispered louder. Some laughed, some pointed, others shook their heads. But Aaron did not stop. He held her bag, step by step. The galaxy might mock her, but he would not. And in that moment, a forgotten legend began to wake. Aaron walked beside the alien woman, the weight of her bag pulling at his arms, but he did not complain. The colony streets twisted like a maze, every turn filled with glowing signs, rough voices, and the smell of metal smoke. The woman kept her head low, her long scarf hiding most of her face, but Aaron noticed how her hands trembled with every step. Behind them, the armored enforcers blended into the crowd, their glowing visors never leaving sight of their target. "Why are they watching you?" Aaron asked softly, but the woman shook her head, her lips pressed tightly together. Her silence only made his curiosity grow. The boy's heart raced, his mind asking questions faster than he could think. She was just an old woman, fragile and bent with age. Why would soldiers care about her? A sudden shout echoed from the street ahead. "Stop right there." Aaron turned and saw another pair of enforcers blocking the way, their rifles glowing with blue light. The crowd scattered quickly. No one wanted to be caught in the middle. The woman froze, her breath sharp and fearful. Aaron felt the same fear, but forced himself to stay firm. "Give her to us," one of the enforcers demanded, his voice metallic, cold. "She is property of the council." Aaron's eyes widened. He looked at the woman in disbelief. "Property," he whispered. The woman's eyes filled with shame. She whispered back, "I was once free." The enforcers stepped closer, their boots striking the ground like thunder. Aaron gripped the bag tighter, his body shaking but his spirit refusing to bend. "No," he said, his voice cracking but filled with determination. The soldiers laughed, a cruel sound. "A human child dares to stand against us?" one mocked. They raised their rifles, energy humming in the air. Before the first shot could fire, the woman suddenly pulled Aaron into a side alley. The blast struck the wall where they had been standing, sparks flying into the air. Aaron's heart pounded as he stumbled, but kept moving, following her as fast as he could. The alley was dark, filled with garbage and dripping pipes, but at least it was narrow enough to slow the soldiers. The woman whispered urgently, "You should leave me, child. They will kill you for helping me." But Aaron shook his head. "I won't," he said, his jaw set. "You need help, and I can't walk away." She looked at him, her eyes glowing faintly in the dim light, a mix of sadness and hope. "You do not know what you risk," she whispered, "but perhaps you are different." They kept moving, but Aaron felt the weight of the bag again. "What's in here?" he asked. "It feels like it's made of stone." The woman stopped, hesitating, then slowly answered, "Not stone, knowledge, something stolen from me long ago." Aaron blinked in confusion, but her tone was sharp and serious. "Knowledge?" he repeated. "Yes," she said, her eyes locking with his. "The kind that can heal worlds or destroy them." The sound of heavy boots grew closer behind them. The enforcers had not given up. Aaron's chest burned with fear, but his mind filled with determination. He knew he was just a teen, just a human boy far from Earth, but something inside him refused to let go of this woman. The galaxy had ignored her, mocked her, hunted her, but he would not. They reached the end of the alley where a broken fence stood. Aaron pushed it aside and helped her through, the bag still clutched against his chest. They entered another street, quieter but still dangerous, shadows stretching across the walls. The woman leaned on him for support, whispering words he barely understood. "You remind me of the one who once defended me," she said. "A human, long ago." Aaron stopped for a moment, startled. "There were humans here before me?" "Yes," she whispered. "Humans who showed me kindness. Humans who paid the price." Her voice cracked with pain. Aaron's skin went cold, realizing he was not the first, and maybe he would not be the last. The sound of a distant alarm echoed across the colony, warning signals flashing red. "They know where we are," the woman said, her voice heavy with dread. Aaron tightened his grip on her arm and pulled her forward. "Then we run," he said, his voice firm, his heart beating like a drum. As they disappeared into the night streets, the enforcers shouted orders, spreading through the colony like a net. The hunt had begun, and with every step Aaron took, the weight of the choice he made pressed harder. He did not know her full truth, but he knew one thing. His life had changed forever. The night air of the colony was thick with smoke and the echo of alarms. Aaron pulled the old alien woman through narrow streets, his hand firm on her arm, while his other hand clutched the heavy bag. The bag seemed to grow heavier with every step, yet he refused to let it go. Above them, lights scanned the alleys, search drones buzzing like insects, their red beams crawling across walls. The woman whispered, "They are closing in, child." Her voice was calm but heavy with fear. Aaron's lungs burned as he ran, his boots splashing through puddles of oil and water. He glanced back and saw shadows moving fast, armored enforcers spreading like hunters, their rifles glowing. Every corner of the colony felt alive with danger. Market stalls were being shut down, doors slammed tight, and the crowd disappeared into hiding. No one wanted to be near the one the soldiers hunted, and now Aaron was part of that hunt. He guided the woman into a broken stairwell, climbing fast despite the weight of the bag. Her breath came in short gasps, her age slowing her down. Aaron pulled her arm over his shoulder and helped her climb, refusing to abandon her. At the top they reached a roof, cracked tiles under their feet, neon lights flickering all around. The city stretched before them like a steel maze. Ships roared in the sky, their engines shaking the ground. Far away, The golden spire of the council tower glowed like a blade piercing the heavens. The woman's eyes lingered on it, sadness flickering in her gaze. "That is where they betrayed me," she whispered, almost to herself. Aaron looked at her, confused but too breathless to ask. A sudden blast shook the roof, pieces of concrete flying. The enforcers had found them, climbing after with iron precision. "Run!" Aaron shouted, pulling her forward. They dashed across the roof, their shadows stretching long under the neon glare. Shots burned the air around them, leaving scars on the walls. The woman stumbled, but Aaron caught her, forcing her to move. "You cannot carry my burden forever," she said with tears in her eyes. But Aaron shook his head. "I will not leave you." Her lips trembled, as if no one had said such words to her in centuries. They leaped down into another alley, the fall hard on Aaron's legs, pain shooting up, but he kept running. Behind them the soldiers shouted, their voices echoing like thunder. Every second the distance grew smaller. Aaron's heart pounded in his ears, fear whispering that this was impossible. Yet another voice inside him said he must not stop. The woman finally spoke as they turned a corner, her tone sharper, urgent. "There is a safe place ahead, an old shelter. If we can reach it, we may hide." Her words gave Aaron hope, but also questions. How did she know the hidden places of this colony? Why did her knowledge sound like that of someone who once belonged here? They slipped into a darker part of the city, abandoned and broken. Walls covered in graffiti, windows shattered, old machinery rusting in the street. The woman pointed at a heavy gate half covered in vines of steel. "There," she whispered. Together they pushed it open, slipping inside before the soldiers could see. The room smelled of dust and old metal. It was quiet. Only the sound of their breathing filled the space. Aaron lowered the bag gently, his arms aching. "What is this place?" he asked. The woman touched the wall with trembling hands, her fingers brushing across symbols carved long ago. "It was once a refuge for my people," she said, "before the council turned them against me." Aaron stared at her, the pieces not yet fitting together. "Why are they chasing you? Who are you really?" She looked into his eyes, her own filled with sorrow and fire. "I was once a leader, a guide, trusted by many, but when I spoke against the council, they stripped me of everything." Her voice broke, but then she whispered, "And yet I kept something they could never destroy, my knowledge, my memory, my truth." Aaron felt his chest tighten. He realized this was bigger than anything he had ever known. This was not just an old woman. This was someone who had carried secrets for decades, maybe centuries. And now, by a simple act of kindness, he had tied his fate to hers. Outside, the soldiers' footsteps echoed closer, heavy and relentless. Aaron grabbed the bag again, ready to move if needed. The woman placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch warm and ancient. "You are young, but your heart is strong," she whispered, "and that will matter more than you know." The pounding on the gate began, metal shaking under their fists. The shelter would not hold long. Aaron looked at her, fear burning in his eyes. "What do we do?" Her eyes glowed faintly in the dark, her voice steady. "Now, child," she said, "we prepare to face the truth." The pounding on the gate grew louder, the old metal shaking with every strike. Dust rained down from the ceiling, and Aaron could feel his pulse hammering in his ears. He clutched the heavy bag, his arms trembling but unwilling to let go. The alien woman stood straight now, her back no longer bent, her tired eyes glowing faintly in the dim shelter light. "Listen to me, child," she whispered, her voice both heavy and calm. "They will break through soon, and when they do, you must understand why they hunt me." Aaron's throat felt dry, his fear clashing with curiosity. "Why? You're just one person. Why would soldiers chase you like this?" The woman's gaze burned into him, a fire hidden behind her wrinkles. "Because I carry what they fear most, the truth." Aaron blinked, confused but unable to look away. The council claims to protect this galaxy, but in truth they feed on it, drain it, and silence anyone who dares speak against them. Her voice carried a weight that felt older than Aaron's world itself. "I was once among them, a voice of peace, of balance, until I refused to follow their path of control." The pounding grew louder, the gate bending under pressure, sparks of energy flashing through the cracks. Aaron's hands shook, but he asked, "And this?" He lifted the bag slightly, What is inside? The woman stepped closer, laying her trembling hand on the bag. Knowledge, she said firmly. Crystals of memory, records of my people, maps of energy that can heal poisoned worlds, tools that can give hope to the forgotten. Aaron's breath caught in his chest. Heal worlds, he whispered. Yes, she said, but in the wrong hands. They could enslave even more. The strikes on the gate suddenly stopped, silence filling the air. Aaron frowned. Did they give up? The woman shook her head slowly. No, they are surrounding us, waiting, planning. Her eyes looked at him again, sharp and unshaken. You must make a choice, Aaron. Leave me and you may live. Stay with me and you will never be the same again. Aaron's heart pounded at her words, his young face filled with fear and defiance. He thought of the crowd mocking her, of the soldiers calling her property, of her trembling voice when she first whispered that he reminded her of someone long ago. He clenched his fists, the bag strap cutting into his hand. I already chose, he said, his voice steady. I won't leave you. The woman's lips trembled, and for the first time, a small smile broke through her sorrow. Then you have already done more than most of this galaxy ever dared, she said softly. Her hand pressed against the wall again, symbols lighting up under her touch. A hidden door hissed open, revealing a narrow tunnel carved deep into the stone beneath the colony. Aaron's eyes widened. What is this place? Her voice was almost a whisper, the last refuge of truth. They hurried into the tunnel, the door closing just as the outer gate broke apart, the sound of boots and weapons storming into the shelter. The tunnel was damp and cold, the walls glowing faintly with alien runes. As they walked deeper, the air seemed to hum. Aaron felt the bag grow warmer against his chest. What's happening? He asked. The woman looked at him with a knowing gaze. The crystals recognize you. They respond to your spirit. Aaron shivered, not sure what that meant, but he felt the weight of destiny pressing closer. The tunnel opened into a vast chamber hidden beneath the colony. Pillars of stone rose high, carved with symbols, and in the center stood a platform glowing with pale blue light. This, the woman said, her voice filled with both pride and sadness, was once my council, before they betrayed me, before they erased my name. Aaron stared at the vast hall, his mind struggling to believe it had been hidden beneath the colony all along. You were a leader, he whispered, realization striking him. The woman nodded slowly. I was an elder, guardian of balance, but when I stood against the council's hunger for control, they declared me broken, forgotten, useless. Her voice cracked, and the galaxy laughed, mocked me, abandoned me. Aaron stepped closer, his eyes blazing. Then they were wrong. The woman looked at him, her tired eyes softening with warmth. You say that now, child, but when they see you stand beside me, they will mock you too. They will hunt you as they hunt me. Aaron's jaw tightened. Let them, I don't care. For a moment, silence filled the chamber, the glow of the crystals painting their faces with strange light. The woman whispered, Perhaps, you are the one I waited for, the one whose kindness can awaken the stars. Above them, faint rumbles shook the chamber as the enforcers searched the city. Aaron tightened his grip on the bag, his fear mixing with determination. The galaxy may have mocked her, but now he carried her truth, and the chase was only beginning. The chamber shook again, dust falling from the stone ceiling as a low rumble echoed through the hidden hall. Aaron looked up in fear, clutching the bag against his chest. They are searching above us, the alien woman whispered, her voice steady but her hands trembling. They will tear this colony apart if they must. The council does not allow their prey to escape. Aaron's pulse raced, the air thick with tension. He wanted to ask why they hated her so much, but before the words left his mouth, a sudden crash rang out from the far side of the chamber. A wall split open with a deafening roar, sparks and smoke filling the air. Figures stepped through, armored enforcers, their glowing visors like the eyes of predators. There she is, one shouted, his weapon rising. The woman's eyes widened, her body trembling, but Aaron acted first. He grabbed her arm and pulled her toward the platform at the center. The light on it shimmered as they stepped closer, as though it recognized her presence. Energy blasts cut through the chamber, striking pillars and sending shards flying. Aaron ducked behind a fallen stone, shielding the woman as best he could. We can't fight them, he gasped. No, she said, her voice low, but we can run. She pressed her palm onto the glowing platform, and the ground trembled. A passageway opened beneath, spiraling stairs leading down into darkness. Aaron's heart hammered as he stared into the black void. Go, she ordered firmly, before it closes. He hesitated only a moment before helping her down, the bag heavy on his back as they disappeared into the depths. The enforcers shouted, firing at the opening, but the door sealed shut before they could reach it. The echo of their weapons faded, leaving only silence in the tunnel below. The air was damp and smelled of stone and old metal. The stairs seemed endless, winding deeper into the earth. Aaron's legs ached, but he forced himself forward, supporting the woman as she leaned on him. Finally, the stairs ended, opening into a vast cavern where an underground river flowed, dark and fast. A broken dock stretched into the water, and beside it rested an old transport skimmer, its surface rusted but intact. Aaron's eyes lit up with hope. We can use this. The woman nodded weakly, her voice faint. Yes, it should still work. Hurry. Together they pushed the skimmer into the water, the current rocking it gently. Aaron climbed aboard and helped her in, setting the bag between them. He pressed the ignition switch, and to his relief, the engine hummed weakly, lights flickering to life. The skimmer drifted forward, carried by both engine and current, disappearing into the dark tunnel of the river. Aaron exhaled, the weight of relief washing over him. But the woman's eyes remained tense, scanning the darkness ahead. They will not stop, child, she whispered. The council's reach goes beyond this colony. They will hunt us across the stars. Aaron tightened his fists, his young face hard with determination. Then let them. I won't leave you. The woman looked at him, her lips trembling as if she wanted to say more. But before she could, a distant roar echoed behind them. Aaron turned sharply, his blood running cold. In the darkness of the tunnel, lights glowed, search drones, dozens of them, hovering like predators, closing fast. They found us, he whispered, panic rising. The woman's hand pressed against the bag, her voice firm despite her fear. Then hold on, child, for the chase has just begun. Aaron pushed the throttle forward, the skimmer speeding across the underground river, water spraying around them. The drones zipped closer, firing beams of red light that scorched the cavern walls. Aaron twisted the skimmer left and right, barely avoiding the blasts, his hands shaking on the controls. One drone swooped low, almost colliding with them, but Aaron swung the skimmer sharply, smashing it against the cavern wall until it exploded in sparks. The woman gripped the side, her eyes wide but her voice steady. You fight with courage beyond your years, she said. Perhaps fate placed you here for a reason. Aaron didn't answer, too focused on steering through the deadly chase. The tunnel grew narrower, jagged rocks jutting from the ceiling, the skimmer weaving desperately through. The drones screamed behind them, relentless. Aaron's chest burned, every second a battle of survival. Finally, he saw a light ahead, a faint glow marking the tunnel's end. We're almost there, he shouted, hope breaking through his fear. The skimmer burst out into open air, launching from the underground river into a wide canyon filled with starlight. The night sky stretched above, glittering with ships and moons, the freedom of the galaxy waiting. But the woman's voice was heavy as she looked back at the glowing swarm still chasing them. This is only the beginning, Aaron, she said, her eyes glowing faintly. Your kindness has tied your fate to mine, and soon the galaxy will know your name. Aaron gripped the controls tighter, the stars reflecting in his eyes. He didn't know what awaited them, but he knew one thing. He would not turn back. Not now. Not ever. The skimmer sliced across the canyon river, stars glittering above like watchful eyes. Aaron's hands shook as he held the controls, his heart racing faster than the engine's hum. The old alien woman sat beside him, her frail body wrapped in her scarf, but her eyes glowed with a quiet fire. Behind them, the swarm of drones still pursued, their red lights cutting through the night. They will not stop, she whispered, her voice heavy but calm. The council never stops. Aaron clenched his jaw, his young face set with defiance. Then neither will I, he said firmly, the words surprising even himself. The canyon walls rose high on either side, shadows twisting like giant claws. The skimmer roared forward, bouncing on the rushing water. Drones shot beams of red light, explosions echoing off the stone cliffs. Aaron swerved hard, each turn bringing them closer to crashing, yet somehow he kept them alive. The woman placed her hand on the bag, the crystals inside glowing faintly through the fabric. "They respond to you, child," she whispered. "They can feel your spirit." Aaron glanced at her, confused. "What do you mean?" "They're just rocks." She shook her head slowly. "Not rocks, living memory. They carry the voices of my people. They awaken only for those who carry truth in their heart." Before Aaron could reply, a drone swooped low, firing directly at the skimmer. The blast tore a hole in the side, water splashing in. Aaron gasped but twisted the throttle, ramming the drone against the canyon wall, sparks exploding into the night. The woman gripped the bag tighter, her voice rising. "We cannot outrun them forever. Aaron, you must use what you carry." "What? How?" Aaron shouted over the roar of engines and blasts. "Open the bag," she said, her voice urgent. "Let the crystals feel the air. Let them see you." Aaron hesitated, fear crawling through him. But with trembling hands he unstrapped the bag. Inside, glowing shards pulsed like hearts of light, blue and white energy swirling inside them. The moment the crystals touched the night air, the swarm of drones faltered, their lights flickering, their movements unstable. Aaron's eyes widened. "It's working." The woman nodded, her voice filled with both sorrow and hope. "The council fears these because they cannot control them. These crystals hold the memory of freedom, and freedom cannot be chained." The drones regrouped, pressing forward, but their aim wavered as the crystals glowed brighter in Aaron's arms. He felt warmth spreading into his chest, a strange strength filling him. It was as though the voices of countless people whispered inside his mind, guiding him, steadying him. "Left," a voice urged softly, and he turned the skimmer just before a blast struck. "Faster," another whispered, and he pressed the throttle, escaping another barrage. Aaron gasped, his eyes wide. "They're helping me." The woman's lips trembled. "Yes, child, they have chosen you." The canyon suddenly opened into a vast desert plain, silver sand shining under twin moons. The skimmer slowed, its engine struggling after the long chase. The drones hovered at the edge of the canyon, hesitant now, as though an unseen barrier kept them back. The crystals pulsed brighter, their light filling the night like stars reborn. Aaron lowered the bag slowly, his body trembling with exhaustion. The woman looked at him, her eyes shimmering with tears. "You do not understand yet. But tonight you proved something rare," she whispered. "You showed the galaxy that kindness is stronger than fear." Aaron swallowed hard, staring at the glowing crystals. "But I'm just a boy," he said quietly. "I didn't even know what I was doing." She shook her head gently. "That is why it worked. You gave without expecting. You helped without asking. That is the power the council fears most." For a moment, silence filled the desert, only the sound of wind moving across the sand. But in the distance, lights appeared on the horizon, ships, dozens of them, rising like shadows under the moons. The woman's face grew pale, her voice trembling. "They have sent more. The council itself moves now." Aaron's breath caught, his hands tightening around the bag. He looked at her, fear and determination mixing in his young eyes. "What do we do?" he asked. She touched his shoulder, her hand warm and steady. "Now, child, you choose if you will be only a boy who once helped a stranger, or the human who will stand against the galaxy." Aaron's chest rose and fell, the stars burning above. He knew the choice was already made. He would not run, not now, not ever. The desert wind howled across the silver sands, the twin moons casting long shadows over Aaron and the old alien woman. The bag of crystals pulsed like a beating heart, its glow spilling across the barren ground. In the distance, the horizon shimmered with the lights of approaching ships, sleek and dark, the council's hunters. Dozens of them, flying low, their engines roaring like thunder across the plain. Aaron's hands tightened around the bag, fear twisting in his chest. "They're too many," he whispered, his voice breaking. The woman placed her trembling hand on his arm, her eyes glowing faintly in the moonlight. "No, child, not too many, not if you believe." The first ships descended, opening their bays, lines of armored enforcers dropping to the sand. Their weapons gleamed, their glowing visors fixed on the woman. A commander stepped forward, his voice amplified through speakers. "Elder Sarai, surrender at once. The council commands it." The woman straightened, her frail figure seeming taller, stronger, her scarf falling from her shoulders. "I am no longer your prisoner," she said, her voice steady as stone. The commander's laugh echoed cold and cruel. "You are nothing, forgotten and mocked. The galaxy already turned its back on you." But before he could speak again, the crystals in Aaron's arms blazed brighter. A wave of light spread across the sand, humming with a strange power. The enforcers faltered, their weapons shaking, their visors flickering as though the crystals themselves defied them. Aaron gasped, the warmth of the crystals burning into his chest. Voices whispered inside his mind, countless voices of long-lost people, of stars long silent. "Stand," they urged. "Protect her, protect truth." Aaron stepped forward, his young body trembling but unyielding. "She's not nothing," he shouted, his voice breaking across the desert. "She's more than all of you, and she's not alone anymore." The enforcers hesitated, murmurs spreading through their ranks. No human had ever stood like this, not against the council, not with such fire. The commander snarled, "Foolish child, you will die first." He raised his weapon, but before he could fire, the old woman lifted her hands. Her body shimmered, her form breaking apart like mist before reshaping into something radiant. Her back no longer bent, her skin glowing with silver light, her eyes burning like suns. She was not frail, not forgotten. She was power itself, hidden all along. Aaron staggered back in awe, his voice caught in his throat. "You're—" "Yes," she said softly, her voice echoing with both sorrow and pride. "I am who they feared, who they tried to erase." The sand trembled as the crystals rose from the bag, spinning around her in circles of light. The enforcers raised their weapons, but froze as the energy pulsed outward. Ships in the sky trembled, their engines flickering. The commander's voice faltered. This is impossible." The woman's eyes locked on him, her voice sharp and unbreakable. "No, it is truth, and truth cannot be silenced." The crystals surged, a wave of light exploding outward, sweeping across the desert like fire. Enforcers dropped their weapons, ships lost control, their engines failing as they crashed into the sands far away. Silence followed, broken only by the wind and the hum of the crystals. Aaron stood frozen, his chest rising and falling. He had never seen such power, yet what shook him most was the way she turned back to him, her expression soft. "You gave me what the galaxy never did, child," she whispered, her eyes wet with tears. "You gave me kindness, and with that you gave me strength." The crystals dimmed slowly, settling back into the bag, their glow steady but calm. The night sky seemed brighter now, the stars shining as though they had witnessed what happened. The woman lowered her hands, her radiant form fading back into her frail body, but her eyes still burned with light. Aaron stepped forward, placing the bag at her feet, his voice quiet. "I only did what anyone should have done." Her lips trembled into a faint smile, and that is why it mattered. In the distance, the surviving ships fled, vanishing into the stars. News of what happened would spread, whispers traveling faster than any ship. The forgotten elder was no longer forgotten, and at her side, a human teen had stood when no one else dared. As the moon shone above, Aaron looked at her, his fear replaced with resolve. "What happens now?" he asked. The woman lifted her face to the stars, her voice calm. "Now, child, we walk a new path. The galaxy mocked me, but with you, it will remember, and with you, it will change." Aaron took a deep breath, the stars reflecting in his eyes. For the first time in his young life, he knew his place in the universe. He would not run, he would not turn away. He had chosen, and the galaxy would never forget.